What's up, guys? It's Nate here from New Leaf Comics, and you're listening to The Branch once again. Thank you for joining us, and I am with that awesome guy you know and love, Hector, also known as Hilo. What's up, Hector?
What up?
What up?
How's it going?
No, pretty good, thanks. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, got to.
He's so nice. He's such a nice boss. Okay, so today we're doing another podcast. We're talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I know it's kind of been talked about before, but we didn't really have a chance to go over the trailer or anything like that. So us as the Star Wars fanboys that we are very happy to talk about Star Wars as much as we can. So D23 happened. It ended a few days ago, and for those of you that don't know what that is, D23 is a Disney Expo where obviously Disney now owns Marvel and Marvel Comics and Lucasfilms, which is Star Wars.
They just have a huge
all sorts of stuff
monopoly on intellectual property. It's ridiculous,
insane. And one of the things they showed was a behind-the-scenes video of the new Star Wars, and, a good amount of the cast was there, and, it made me want to talk about it, so that's what we're going to talk about, so deal with it. And then, so, I guess what we're going to just jump into right now is just the trailer, which we, re-saw. So, Hector, what are your thoughts on the new Star Wars movie coming out in December, Star Wars: The Last Jedi?
Well, I think it looks really interesting, and it looks really good. It looks a lot more focused than the last movie. I felt like the last movie, not to knock it or anything like that, but it did feel kind of like they rehashed the whole feeling of the nostalgia. They built that movie off the nostalgia of it. They kind of retold us. Again, it's another Death Star. They have to blow up the Death Star. You know what I mean? It was that kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
They recycled that format.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really good movie. I'm not gonna say it wasn't a good movie, but that was probably the one negative thing about it for me. So this one feels different. It feels new. It feels not the same kind of storytelling,
mm-hmm.
which is cool. And interesting, and there's a lot of things that they did in the trailer that just leave so many questions unanswered. So.
Definitely. I think I definitely agree with you on that point. Although when I first saw it when it came out, I didn't realize how similar it was to the original first movie until you leave and someone literally I think someone said it as I was leaving the theater. Oh, it was just episode technically episode 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. It kind of just was like that because it starts off on a desert planet. You get this dude, and yeah, so on and so forth. But I think if anything that I'm very happy about is these new characters. I'm glad that we get a new, younger, I guess, group. Poe, Finn, Rey, just these kind of characters that, you that kind of remind you of kind of like Han Solo, kind of not like Han Solo, almost like Luke and vice versa, and just kind of I think that was really cool. It's interesting to see how they're kind of already fitting in these roles within the. I guess they're still the rebels, right? They're still the rebels because there's this new threat, So just kind of how they're fitting within the rebels, and initially everyone thought that Finn was going to be the new Jedi,
right? And
you kind of don't expect that from Rey kind of going in until she touches or finds a lightsaber, and because it initially she's kind of geeking out over Han Solo.
Well, for me, the first indication that she was the Jedi was that she could fly the Millennium Falcon. And
why? Why do you say that?
Because it's well established that Jedi Knights are excellent pilots.
Not all of them, though.
Qui-Gon Jinn, Luke, even Obi-Wan was a good pilot. Anakin was a good pilot.
Obi-Wan wasn't a great pilot.
He wasn't great.
Throughout all the Jedi, he wasn't that good.
But when you're in episode 2 and you see this huge space battle going on with him and Anakin, and they're piloting the Jedi ships, it was the maneuvers they were doing and everything that they were doing was very tactical, and they were good pilots.
Well, I mean, so was Finn, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't even a pilot. He didn't pilot anything during the movie.
Okay. I never interesting. I never thought of that.
It's just the Jedi mind trick and stuff like that.
Interesting.
It's a natural piloting thing.
I never thought of that. That's interesting.
Anakin and the pod racers.
Well, Anakin had that was Anakin's thing though. His thing was kind of speed and flying and
It was because he had high metachlorian count. So he had reaction time was a lot faster.
Whatever, man.
It's true. Look it up.
No, I know.
Look it up.
I got a chance to rewatch The Phantom Menace, which initially, as a lot of people could agree, it's not a great movie, but just to rewatch it and kind of pick back things up pick up on things that you kind of forgot about. One of the things being that apparently Anakin like had no father. And it's like he's kind of like this Jesus Jedi, which was interesting. But then how Qui-Gon explains how I think there was a part where he's talking to his mom and kind of explains your son is such a good racer because he can predict the future, and that's why he's reacting faster. And so initially, like even before the second movie, where it's more of him seeing the future, you kind of Qui-Gon's kind of aware.
Right.
But moving forward, going back to like everything else, I thought Finn was going to be the Jedi just because we kind of see him using the lightsaber first. And I'm like, okay, he's going to learn a little bit. But I think the fact that they changed it and moved it over to Rey was interesting because, again, I felt like Rey's going to be like this new Han Solo, right? Like a female, like, star. Well, like, Han Solo is known as like a smuggler, but he's also like a pretty good trick shot, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he's got skill. Yeah, he's a gunslinger, right? Like you said, he's kind of a space cowboy,
right? So I thought Rey was going to kind of fit into that role, but then it's like, oh wait, hang on a second, it kind of shifts, and very good shift, you know. Again, it's something I didn't expect, and then I thought, oh, okay, this is really cool. Something's happening here, and it kind of makes you wonder, okay, well, what's going to happen to Finn, you know? Because you see Finn I feel Finn could potentially become a Jedi, even though you kind of, I mean, there's no real tie-in to him in the Force, but you kind of see just, like, the bravery within him, like, I'm going to pick up this lightsaber, I don't know what it is, and just start swinging, you know, and just trying to do what I can with it, you know?
Yeah, I definitely see he could be a Jedi, or he could take that, like you said, like Han Solo role, where, yeah, he's around Jedi, and he's around the Force and all that kind of stuff, but he's just... that's not the world he grew up in, you know, and it's more of blasters and smuggling, and, you know, he has his own thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably where he could fit in too. But yeah, again, when he picked up the lightsaber, everybody was like, oh,
right.
Wait,
is he the Jedi?
For
right?
real?
Yeah. He's Jedi.
Yeah. And then he couldn't fight with it, but like, and you're like, okay, I get it. Like, maybe this is the first time he picked up a lightsaber, you know, whatever.
It's a learning curve, right?
But then
Rey does it,
right? And she kind of like has this insight and knowledge that like is just instinctual. It's intuitive, and it's like, okay, well, obviously Finn's not really connected to the Force in that way,
right? Exactly. I thought, but kind of going back to other characters, like I like that exactly, and then you kind of so the fact that she connects to the Force a bit easier. It might have seemed a little random just because when we do see Rey in the very beginning, you don't get that at all. You get that she's just, you know, struggling for scraps, just trying to live on this desert planet. But then, it seems kind of almost random that she picks up a lightsaber, connects to the Force, like, instantly, and now she's, you know, doing stuff. But I thought it was really cool, you know, because I think we were all happy to see older characters, Leia, Han Solo, you know, R2-D2, C-3PO, just all those guys. I'm glad that we get to see more Leia in the first movie. I'm curious to see what you know,
how they're gonna handle it.
Right? What's gonna happen moving forward? You know, because the late Carrie Fisher passed. It's all very sad, but she's not dead. She's just part of the Force. You know?
Exactly.
So I'm curious to see how they're going to continue with her moving forward, what they're going to do with her character in the last movie, and like I said, moving forward. But I thought it was really cool. We get to see a lot more of her, I guess because Leia's very Force sensitive, right?
Right.
So she's able to...
She's kind of like an empath of the Force.
Yeah, like she's able to connect
things
to people and really, you know, I guess get a grasp on them. The big one being how hurt she was when Han Solo died. Was very interesting, and to me I thought it was kind of strange how that can happen, how she can feel and sense Han Solo and Kylo Ren but not Luke, and everybody was looking for Luke. I feel like if you're gonna have a spiritual connection to anybody, it's gonna be your twin brother.
And she did already in the original movies,
right? Exactly,
because she's the one who was like fly under the city, like she
right. She knew where he was.
Exactly. When Luke was falling after he fought Vader.
Exactly, and it's like again, like
his hand caught off by Vader, I should say.
I think that which kind of proves my point. I think if you'd have a strong connection with anybody, it'd be your twin brother.
I agree, but then again, you know, and I think that touches on what we see in this trailer for 8, which is like he kind of, and we were talking about, he's kind of like a recluse. Like,
yeah, he's kind of
maybe he
step back.
Maybe he forced some kind of barrier. You know what I mean, between her connection and his, so he couldn't be found.
Maybe.
Nobody could find him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, why leave a map? Because that was kind of the whole point of 7. There's a map to find Luke. We need Luke to help us again, and we have half. We can't find the other half, you know?
I think it might not have been intentional for him to leave the map. I think maybe he was looking through, like, say, that map, and he was like, this is potentially where it could be, so that's where I'm going to go.
Okay.
And then somebody that had that information, like, say, Leia, said, okay, well, I don't want anybody else to know where this is at, so let me take that part of the map off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Somebody touched it after he... Because it's a map, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like it's only exclusively he can see that.
True. I kind of want to... So this
they did know he left to go find it.
They did. One thing I'm going to expand on later, but I'm going to mention now, is R2-D2. I feel like R2-D2 knows a lot more than we're kind of letting off, especially the just pure fact that we know for a fact R2-D2 was with Luke while Luke was training. So he's seen things kind of the same as much, if not... Well, no, he's seen just as much as Luke, because in the last 3 movies, they erase their memory, so they don't know all this backstory of, like, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Anakin, all this stuff. They know that what's happening moving forward from Luke. So,
right.
But going back to now, R2-D2 is an old robot. Like, they're old bots,
right,
you know?
Right.
They've been around, they've seen things, and like I said, I feel like, I'm curious to maybe if they could ever expand on how much R2-D2 knows, because at the same time, it's not like we could talk. It's like we can all understand him. You know, everything's being interpreted from somebody. You know, so he's, you know, it's kind of like the silent eye. So yeah, I'm curious into stuff like that. But we talked about everybody except for one important character, the bad guy, Kylo Ren.
Right.
So your kind of thoughts on Kylo Ren and from the first and now going into the new movie.
I guess, and we were talking about this a little earlier too, is I mean he's a cool looking character, obviously a legacy character from, you know, Han and Leia, so that's cool. And you know, the whole recycling of the image of Vader, or living in his image and his shadow, it's pretty cool too, again, because that is his grandfather, so it makes sense, the family ties. But you just don't, from the first movie, you see that he's like an angry person, an emotional person, but you don't have any sense as to why that happened. And I think that was the greatest question for me, is like, well, what's his backstory? What happened in the past? How did Han, you know, or Leia do? What did they do to make him feel like so disconnected from his family, but at the same time, that is his family, you know. Darth Vader was his family, and maybe simply just learning that made him want to feel like, well, if Anakin, the chosen one, chose to be on the dark side for such a long time, he must have seen something that, like, was worth seeing, or did something worth doing. So maybe that was his only motivation, was just like, what did Anakin see in this whole side of the Force that I'm not seeing? What, you know, was it just a pure lust for power? You know, I don't see with Han and Leia and Luke being his parenting group, you know, that whole group of people teaching you, I don't see how anybody could grow up to be that way, like super power hungry or super like maniacal or evil or angry. Like, I guess I don't get it.
Well, you know what I kind of just thought of, because they do kind of touch on that. Han Solo kind of touches on that, like, yeah, initially Han or Leia, no, I think it was Leia, didn't want him training with Luke for the fear that he might turn to the dark side, which is kind of what happened. Maybe it's kind of like an abandonment thing, like, you left me kind of thing, you know, I didn't want to do it. You know, maybe Kylo didn't want anything to do with the Force, you know. Who said that he had to be a Jedi just because he's, you know, he's connected to the Force? So is his mom. You know, you don't see Leia whipping out a lightsaber, you know. It's just you know, it's just an idea.
Yeah,
just
and
going forward.
Again, they don't touch on any of that, so it could literally be any of it. You know, it could, and I guess that's part of the fun, is like they get to develop these characters more, and we are at the we're in the dark completely about their backstory. And obviously, as these movies come out and more people start asking questions, they'll start addressing these things. Maybe they've already written this stuff into the lore of Star Wars. No clue. We have no inside information on it. So I think it's just interesting. They have a lot of things to grow from.
Exactly. Because if you go, because from what I've heard, I haven't read any of the books, but the books are a lot different from the movies. Just purely in characters, because Kylo Ren is supposed, is a character from the books, Ben Solo, but apparently like Han and Leia had a few more kids, and then Luke has a kid with somebody, and it's like basically Luke restarts the Order, so it's completely different from what we're seeing.
Right.
I'm curious if they might touch on that at all, because I had that theory, because it's like if that's the, before going into 7, if that's the same as the book, then Kylo Ren, or this bad guy, is related to Han Solo and Leia, and I called it because that's kind of something that happens. I don't know if he's called Kylo Ren or whatnot, but yeah, it was something that, again, they kind of implemented a little bit. But I guess, so moving forward, what's something that what do you think's gonna happen, or what's something that you kind of want to know, or I guess predictions for the new movie coming out, we know, like, we have all this stuff from 7, and then moving forward, we kind of have these ideas about these characters, but like you said, we're kind of in the dark, and we know that there's growth in a few characters. Obviously, Rey, she's learning to be a Jedi, she's being trained by Luke, something I'm very excited to see, because we haven't seen Luke in this teacher form, so I'm curious to see that. And then we have Kylo, who's coming back. He's coming back with a vengeance. And if there's one thing that we agreed on, it was that Kylo is very emotional. So he's not very, he's very powerful, but he's still learning the ways of the Sith. And him being so emotional is one of those things that has to change. And again, we
for
know,
either side, for
right,
the Jedi or the Sith.
Right. And then Finn, in the trailer, we see him kind of down for the count, but then in the behind-the-scenes video, we see him moving around, so curious to what his role is going to be,
Right.
Is he just going to be sticking with the rebels? Is he going to go after Rey? Because you do kind of get this love interest between them. Is he going to go after her and, follow her, and whatnot? Right. So, yeah, I guess, what do you think, or what's something, you want to see?
I guess, something that's not really like a prediction. It's more or less just like a inevitable thing, is you're going to see the training of Rey, and you're going to see kind of like, I think what I'm interested to see is where that goes, because you see the trailer and Luke's like, if there's the truth I know,
right,
the Jedi needs to end. So what is he really teaching her? Like, what is he just going to say? This is fate, this is the Force telling me I need to train somebody? Is that like their first interaction with each other? Maybe he turns down training her, you know what I mean? And then, eventually comes to this point where it's like, maybe this is fate.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, a first interaction kind of thing. Yeah.
Because it's a trailer, you don't
true.
see the scene and how it progresses.
Right.
And, the way that they throw trailers together, they're meant to confuse you, they're meant to make you ask questions, but the movie's obviously going to progress in a more logical way,
right?
So yeah, I'm interested to see that, and it's inevitable. They ended with them meeting, and then I guess my prediction is you're going to find out where Rey fits into the established bloodline, I guess you could say, or the previous characters. How is she related to the old group of characters? Because you see that there's going to be some kind of relation. She was abandoned on a planet.
Yeah.
It's
all
like
there's tons of theories that we can get into about who she's related to.
Exactly.
I feel like at that point, I feel like at this point now, it's just like we've kind of said them all. Let's just see who wins.
Right.
Let's just see.
It's just an eventual revealing.
Right.
Of what their direction is going to be. But yeah, I mean, the prediction of what, or the anticipation to see how does Finn fit into this movie again? How much of it is going to be consumed by the training aspect of it, by rehashing the Jedi mythology? You know what I mean? Because you have it being lost. Literally, their culture is erased.
Gone. Right.
He is Luke being the last Jedi is not only by him personally, but it's he's the only one that carries the culture anymore. There, besides Maz, the little alien that was, you know...
Yeah, the, like, alien bar owner, right?
Right,
yeah.
and she's been, you know, alive. She's like a Yoda. She has been alive for like 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
she's seen stuff, too.
Right, and she seems to be very tapped into the Force as well. She knows what it is. She speaks like she's kind of like a very... like a Yoda. Like a wise...
Yeah, like, it's very possible for her to be Force sensitive, similar to, like, Leia, you know?
Right, because, I mean, when you're talking about... if you guys know the Star Wars lore or anything like that, if you have any... by this time in history, you probably should have known about Star Wars, at least in some capacity.
Right.
There's people that are Jedi, and that's because they've trained.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gift that most people can use, but they don't use it because they don't train it ever. Mm-hmm. But it's just like intuition. It's there. You just have to fine-tune it.
Right.
So Maz is one of those people that is just... she knows about it. She's maybe fine-tuned it by experimenting in her own... maybe like clairvoyance, all that kind of stuff, that the Force enables you to do. So she just knows what's going on, but she's not running around with a lightsaber.
No,
you know, stopping lasers
Secret
with the Force.
Jedi the whole time.
That
she
would be
was
really
a Jedi.
cool.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
That's Yoda's girlfriend. Everybody, Yoda's girlfriend.
Snoke, man, she's kind of the same size as him or something.
Right,
like
that'd be crazy.
Maybe he's like a shapeshifter or some kind of...
I don't know.
thing
It's
like
Yoda
that.
the whole time. It was Yoda the whole time in disguise. He didn't die. It was just some like Jedi illusion.
Snoke, again, that's another thing that like it was just
right,
a question of like who the hell is this? Like,
who is this Darth Lord that
Right.
has come out of nowhere after all this time and has started training Kylo Ren in the ways of the dark side? Yeah, that's something I really want to get into. I'm obviously they're gonna expand on that some point within the 3 movies. Hopefully we get some of that more in this one. I don't know. There's tons of theories on that too. Yeah. It could almost be anything, you know. I personally like the theory of him being Mace Windu. I think that would be cool.
Right.
It'd be kind of hard, but I think it'll be kind of cool.
Yeah. That's a theory that I've heard, and I think it's pretty interesting. And like, if they did take that turn, I guess that would be a whole nother arc for them to follow. Right. Maybe it's not even important to the story who he is. It's just he's one of those people. He's a person that's on the dark side. Mm-hmm. But I guess my main prediction for this movie is kind of how it looks like it's turning out to be, where it's going to be both forces are gathering their strength. So you
but for what?
Right. For this third movie. For me, my guess is this third movie is going to be the clash. It's kind of going to be like Lord of the Rings style. Like, Fellowship of the Ring established what world we're looking at. And then Two Towers, you know, kind of like brought more of the conflict into the centerpiece. And then Return of the King was just like the conflict, the actual conflict, the main conflict. And I feel like that's kind of the structure of how it's going to... it's like 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. You know, in terms of rising action. And then you meet that conflict. So I feel like this movie is shaping up to be, from what I've seen and I guess what we've talked about. Mm-hmm. Like, again, both sides are kind of gathering forces. She's going to be training. Because remember, at the end, Snoke is like, Kylo, come to me.
Right, come meet me.
We're going to complete your training.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Jedi, you have Sith that are now going to be actually in the spotlight. You know what I mean?
I guess that acts as another... question. Are we going to see Luke back in the action? Is Luke going to now get involved now that he's been found and has kind of, you know, is he going to, you know, kind of like the traditional Jedi way? Is he going to start traveling with Rey, going to be helping and teaching her along the way, or is it just going to be like, you know, because if there's one big thing that we kind of see within Luke is once New Hope has kind of lost hope, you know? He's kind of almost given up. And I feel like it's kind of understandable because one of the things that I mentioned to you before was he's kind of responsible for Kylo Ren. He has to take responsibility for the fact that he kind of accidentally created this bad guy who started up all this stuff, and it's his fault in the first place. If anything, I feel like Leia should kind of be upset, at him for multiple reasons. Beside the fact you accidentally turned my son evil, you started this mess. You have to help fix it. You know,
I think
you can't you have to be responsible, and you can't just hide on another planet.
I think under the premise that you're talking about of like, well, you created this, right? I think maybe that's and this is about to get a little more philosophical into the Star Wars universe, but
Good.
I think
That's the best part.
Is that the theme, the true theme of Star Wars? Is that from good comes bad, or possibility? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you really think about it, if it's the first Jedi temple that he's going to, maybe he learned that before there were any Jedi, there wasn't this huge rift in the Force. And when the Jedi emerged, because the possibility to do bad with this knowledge existed, it then brought forth the dark side as well. So basically, because the Jedi exist, the dark side exists. And if there's no more Jedi, then there won't be this rift in the Force anymore.
So if there's no good, there won't be bad.
Right.
I don't know about that. First off, I think that's a really good theory, and I think you just ruined the movie for everybody, so no one's going to go see anything because he just called it. It's done. Don't buy your tickets. Don't go.
I think that's just, again, a philosophical theme that has kind of reoccurred, because when you look at...
No, definitely.
Anakin was a good guy.
Right.
Turns into the most feared bad guy. All Jedi, or all Sith, seems like it came from the knowledge of a Jedi. Being a Jedi, you understand certain things about the Force, and then you manipulate it with your own choices.
I feel like that's just kind of how life is, you know? Like, there is no right answer. I think there's more than just good and bad. There's left,
Right.
There's not just left and right, I don't know. I feel, just me personally, and just kind of expanding on that, I feel like there will always be people that just want to do harm, rather if there's people that are good or not, but it's weird too, because it's like babies aren't born with hatred, you know what I mean? People aren't born evil. There's no such thing as that, something has to grow, something has to spark that within you in order to go down that path. But I don't know. I feel like like you said, there can't be one without the other, and I never thought about that. If there's not one, is there another? So yeah, it's an interesting thought. Maybe we should.
I think that's just I
think I need to call my therapist.
Start reading philosophy books just to keep up with Star Wars. No, I think that's just, again, it's something that I've noticed, and I think it's, when you look at the structure of the story of Star Wars, you see that it's very much black, white, and gray. Mm-hmm. You get the black is the dark side. It's pretty straightforward, dark and light side. And they have their own order of how they solve their problems, right? Mm-hmm. And then the gray area is basically the rest of the universe that is, affected by what each side does, but they have their own means of solving things too. You have the like Congress. I'm sorry, it wasn't Congress. It's
the Senate.
The Senate, right? So you have this order of planets, and they solve things their own way, which is trades and money and war. They deal in war and all these different things. And then you have the Force and the Sith, and they just they handle things on a whole different level, and it's really like above the black and white, or the gray, the gray area. So I think, again, when we're talking about the philosophy of like the Jedi and the dark side and all that kind of stuff, I think it really does reflect that, or the story does reflect that, like, you really can't have one without the other, and when you do have one without the other, it's just going to cause this imbalance.
Exactly.
And because that's the whole theme of it, right? Is Anakin was supposed to balance the Force. He didn't really balance it because there's still a Jedi left.
Yeah, there's still a Jedi.
There's an imbalance.
There's still, there's still Rey. There's still Kylo. I guess another question would be: do you think it could end with them? Do you think Kylo and Rey could just come to this thing where, this clash where neither one survives? I
think it could happen, and I think when you hear Mark Hamill say, "When I think I know what's going on,"
you don't, right? I don't.
For him to be so much involved in the storytelling process, like, he's talked to George Lucas, he's talked to many writers involved with it. He's heard all these different ways that they could go about it and things like that. So he has so much inside information. For him to say, like, this is throwing me for a loop too, like, that's super interesting. And it's like, okay, well, even if we think we know where it's going, it's probably not.
We probably don't.
So that's possible. I think it's possible that you can end up in this situation where it's like the only way to balance it is that everybody dies, kind of thing.
Yeah, everyone, again, don't buy your ticket. Hector just ruined it for everybody.
Don't buy your ticket, everyone dies.
Everyone dies.
Spoiler alert,
everyone dies. Titanic style. Just, no, Finn, it's cold. It's cold.
Never let go, Ray. Never let go.
Oh, no, I think I'm just going to die now.
I think I'm going to let go now.
I think I'm going to let go now. It's getting a little too serious.
But I don't want to carry around your frozen corpse
but
for the rest of my life.
But this is how you know I'm a true Star Wars fan. But Finn, I love you. I know.
Die. Death.
Okay, so one last question I think we should talk about, like, we should expand on. What do you think? Okay, so they say that Luke left to find the temple, right?
Right.
Do you think he found it? And if he did, what do you think he found within it that made him change his ways?
I think I touched on it. My theory of it is that, I think he did find it. And I think when he found that first Jedi temple, you find some kind of historical documentation. Some hieroglyphic
what I think
stuff
would be kind of messed up? If he found the video of Anakin killing younglings, remember? Back in 3? Back in the right. prequels, that would be kind of interesting. That he sees he sees his father shift.
I think that would be too recent in the history for them, because again, that's the first temple is one of those things that's it's an ancient,
right?
It's in ruin. It's it's an ancient thing. Going back to all the way in the first Jedi. So right. I don't see that happening.
Well, one of the things that we talked about a while ago when we were talking about the first, not the first movie, about 7, was Luke's ability to communicate with dead Jedi. It's very likely that maybe Yoda, the oldest Jedi we know of, told him, you have to go, it's here, find this thing, it's going to change the shift. So, yeah, I mean,
I think maybe...
do you think maybe that had like a tie in it?
Here's my another kick in the dick revelation.
Kick in the dick. We should turn that into a t-shirt.
Kicking a dick.
Kicking a dick.
I did it to Nate Matos a couple of times, unknowingly spoiled some stuff for him. But anyway, so what if, just like Spider-Man, when he lost his confidence, after this whole thing with Kylo turning and again him losing hope, maybe he lost that connection to he kind of it wanes, you know what I mean? Luke pushes so far away from the Force, and again we already talked about that. You have to be very non-emotional to be very connected to the Force. You have to be kind of like Zen. Maybe his emotion pushed him so far from. Maybe he's trying to regain that, and that's why he's searching for the first temple so much. He's trying to find out what's the initial truth of the Jedi. You know what I mean? What's the initial truth of the Force? Going there reveals it, and that truth makes him want to realize or want to change his perspective on things. You know what I mean? An eye opener for him.
That's
in some
sad,
way,
bro.
shape, or
I feel
form.
depressed now.
Hey, man.
That's sad. So you're telling me if I get a case of the Weepies, no more Force powers?
Basically.
That's not cool, man.
I mean, this is deeper, way deeper than a case of the Weepies.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. But all right, cool.
I don't know. That's just one of my.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I do not want to get kicked in the dick, so I hope that doesn't happen. That's so sad because, oh man, see, now I don't want to buy a lightsaber and go all pew, because now I'm going to be like, I'm sad now, and just it'll never turn on anymore. Alright, so I think that's it, unless you had anything that you want to talk about or ask. No? You good?
Oh, I think we're good.
Alright, cool. So thank you for listening. You're listening to the Branch New Leaf Comics podcast.
Hey, it's 2 in a row for me.
2 in a row for you, right?
I'm just going to be a feature from now
on. Apparently. It might as well.
I'm the co-host now, guys. Learn to like my voice.
No, I think we're gonna have to write up some papers or get some contracts in here or something.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
I'm just saying because I'm Nate, your friendly neighborhood nerd.
By the way, I create all the visual material for the show. 100% of it. So.
Right. I'm just saying. All right. So yeah, just.
I'm already involved. Is what I'm saying.
All right. Yeah. Just take more of their credit. Just push me out of the way. All right.
Hey, you are the host. You have that authority. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you damn right.
Give me some co-host credit, bro.
You damn right, dude.
You know, I'll be the sidekick in this scenario. That's fine.
You are a very lovable guest. We'd love to have you all the time. Let's just keep it like that. Okay?
Yeah, we'll move. All right, fine.
Just slowly,
fine.
Okay? You can't just jump in a relationship like that.
No. After a certain point, now that I have experience as like a radio personality or some kind of personality, I don't know, because we might do visuals at some point. But I'll just start charging. I'll just start coming up with rates.
I'll
start coming up with rates.
You can just not be in it at all.
You want my time, Nate? You want my opinion?
You can just not be in it at all, okay? So we can just fix that. No, I'm just kidding. No, as always, it's always cool to have you here. It's always cool for you to take the time from our busy production schedule to talk with us and
you got some
stuff
cool
like
stuff.
that.
You've seen some of the stuff, and it's
we have tons of cool stuff that you guys can see very soon.
We'll be updating a lot of stuff
for sure. So thank you for listening. Again, we always love to hear from you, so don't be afraid to send us some comments and what you guys think. And as always, I'm your host, Nate, your friendly neighborhood nerd, signing out.
I'm Hector Barrero.
Hilo. He's Hilo.
I don't know.
Barrero.
See. Now we've lost the title. Do I say co-host? Do I just say guest?
Guest.
I'm just a guest.
This is the guest.
You're a guest in my own home.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Like I said, thanks for listening, and we'll always be back with more. See ya.
Peace.